Welcome back. Aurelius and Malik, the Conflict Archive. We close the Mongol Conquests file today. 5 parts. The end of the story. The fires of the Mongol Conquests finally burned low. The world was left scarred and forever changed. This was not a clean end, but a fading into exhaustion, a division among the conquered, and the quiet settling of dust over ruined cities. By the close of the 13th century, Genghis Khan's empire had splintered into 4 khanates.
Aurelius, that division is crucial. It wasn't just a splintering of power. It was the breaking of unity among the Mongols themselves. The Yuan in China, the Ilkhanate in Persia, the Golden Horde in Russia, and the Chagatai Khanate in Central Asia, each laid claim to the legacy of conquest. But they were competing for dominance, driven by rival ambitions and distant bloodlines.
True enough. The mighty Mongol war machine, once a single roaring river, became a delta. Its currents slowed, caught by new lands and old grudges. What we saw in the aftermath was devastation on a grand scale. In the burned-out shells of Nishapur and Baghdad, the blackened stones cracked underfoot, whispering tales of chaos and loss. Lives were uprooted, cultures shattered. This was the cost of expansion, and the echoes of their conquests still linger in the silence of those ruins.
But let's not forget the human cost. The sounds of destruction weren't just echoes of war. They were cries of despair. Survivors sifted through the rubble, calling for loved ones, their voices blending with the wind. Each crumbled stone held stories of loss and grief. Families torn apart, dreams shattered. These weren't just the marks of conquest, but the heavy weight of sorrow that lingered long after the fighting stopped.
You paint a vivid picture, Malik. The silence after the chaos was heavy, almost suffocating. Homes stood like empty shells, their walls echoing lost laughter. Fields, once vibrant, were now littered with bones and broken plows, reminders of lives interrupted. The trauma of war extends far beyond physical destruction, reaching deep into our collective psyche. Libraries that held centuries of wisdom, a testament to our shared knowledge, now lay in ruins, mere piles of ash. We can't forget this.
And that loss pressed down on the living. Just think about the weight of every sunrise for those survivors. They were left to navigate a world shattered by violence, with memories of loved ones echoing in their hearts. Yet, amid the ruins, the drive to endure persisted. People began to gather what they could, forming small communities. They clung to hope, sharing stories and laughter, even in the darkest of times. It was a testament to the strength of the human spirit.
Correct. The ashes of war gave rise to something new. The Mongol peace, the Pax Mongolica, ushered in a form of uneasy stability. Under the vigilant eyes of Mongol patrols, the Silk Road became a vital lifeline once more, connecting distant lands. Sure, it was a fragile connection, easily disrupted, but it existed. Commerce resumed, ideas flowed, and cultures mingled. We witnessed how such a network can thrive, even in uncertain times. This is the complex dance of history.
Yes, but that peace came at a heavy cost. Travelers like Marco Polo ventured along those paths, which had once been rivers of blood. Now, those same routes were teeming with traders and seekers of fortune, all hoping to find something better. But let's not forget, it wasn't just wealth and knowledge that moved along those roads. It was also fear and disease. People didn't just exchange goods. They carried the weight of their stories, their struggles, and their losses with them.
The Black Death serves as a grim reminder of the unintended consequences that arise from our connections. It spread westward along those very trade routes we established, bringing terror and despair in its wake. We heard the tolling bells in the night as streets emptied, a haunting echo of what once was. The old fear returned, this time without swords or arrows, but with a silent, invisible enemy. It reminds us how fragile life can be when we gather too closely.
You can't overlook the cultural blending that happened in the Mongol courts. Karakorum became a bustling hub for vibrant exchange. Sholas from all sorts of backgrounds gathered there, sharing not just knowledge, but also their stories and discoveries. They wove together a rich tapestry of culture, even as they carried the weight of the past, the horrors and loss that had brought them to this moment. It's a reminder that even in the darkest times, people can find ways to connect and create something beautiful.
An excellent point. The Mongols were undoubtedly skilled in warfare, but governance posed a different set of challenges. In China, for instance, the Yuan dynasty faced significant rebellions that tested their control. Meanwhile, in Persia, the Ilkhanate managed to blend into the local culture, gradually losing much of its distinct Mongol identity. These examples illustrate the complexities of empire building and remind us that ruling is often as difficult as conquering. History shows us that adaptability is key for survival.
Exactly. The lines between conqueror and conquered blurred with each new generation. Children grew up speaking new languages, adopting customs, and worshipping new gods. Families were torn apart, and communities transformed overnight. The legacy of the Mongol conquests is one of horror and transformation. It's a stark reminder that while empires rise and fall, the people caught in the middle endure profound changes that shape their identities and futures in ways we often overlook.
The story of the Mongol conquests is not merely about triumph. It's about survival. Humanity endured, scarred but alive, weaving through the chaos. Each season that follows represents a quiet triumph over devastation. We learn that resilience often emerges from the darkest chapters. The echoes of the Horde ride on the wind, a constant reminder of past horrors, urging us to remember, to reflect, and to understand how we navigate the aftermath of such immense change.
And that closes the Mongol Conquests file. 5 parts. One complete story. The full series lives on the Conflict Archive, part of the Archive Network. There's no shortage of files. Browse what pulls at you next.